I'm Corey.
And I'm Kyra. Welcome to Above the Bar,
where every week we have hot conversations and fun libations with a legal twist.
So about 4 or 5 years ago, we passed the bar. So here we are with you, Above the Bar, sharing some of our favorite cocktail recipes. So Corey, what did you cook up for us today?
Today, I did a little something called everything in my refrigerator. But you can call it a Blackberry bramble if you want to kind of follow along. You can look up a Blackberry bramble. But like I said, I used what I had to get what I wanted. So Blackberry bramble sounded good. I had some blackberries, but I also had some nectarines, and I had crown. So,
hey,
throw some lemonade on top. And here you go.
Voila.
A delicious modified Blackberry bramble. Tastes good?
Good job.
You know,
good
job.
With
crown, I'm gonna say yay. And
can't go wrong with lemonade.
This summer of bartending worked well for me. Yay! I got my money's worth.
And I will add the nice peach slice on top.
Yeah,
add some nice flair.
I give it a little flair.
I'm gonna dump mine in there. So,
see, too much flair.
It can suck up some of the alcohol and
okay. Well, she don't need some soaking up after we talk about our conversation today because the block is hot.
The block is hot. Okay, sorry.
It's a lot going on, and the bramble got her brambling. That's a new word, brambling. She's brambling. Brambling.
But
so before we talk about all the great cocktails or the great conversation we have for this week, we want to make sure to invite all of our local Houstonians out.
Yes.
We are having a happy hour, a meet and greet, a libation and conversation celebration.
Hey.
This Sunday
at Eddie V's from 4:30 to 6:30. Eddie V's Upper Kirby. So that's 2800 Kirby Drive. Come on out. We'd love to meet you guys, have great conversations and libations in person, and also nibble on some delicious food.
So good.
I know, it's so good.
Do you know that they have a whole page dedicated to their crab fried rice? I mean,
she loves it.
I love it. So you already know that you like Eddie V's, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, then you have to come.
Yes.
Because it's an experience. The drinks are delicious, and if you check our IG page, you can see some of the deliciousness we are trying out that we were concocting for you last Friday. Check it out.
So, get you ready. Corey, what do people have to do if they want to come out for this Sunday?
You need to RSVP. Let us know you're coming. It's like come to somebody's house and just tell them you're on the way.
And spots are limited.
Yes.
So if you want to come, we want you there. Please make sure that you RSVP as early as possible so that you can make sure that we have space for you to come.
Sunday fun day with Above the Bar
and libations.
So back to this week's conversation.
Yes.
The crazy NFL. And by the way, you can watch the NFL game at Eddie V's, so I don't want to hear your excuses. It's no traffic. It's happy hour. We've laid it out for you.
Yes.
But the NFL is a hot ass mess this week. Excuse my
Too
French.
much going on.
Sorry.
Too much going on. Well, let me say this. The NFL, some of the teams have actually done a good job in responding. It's Trump and the noise around the NFL.
I don't even want to say. I think there are some ways that we all can learn from.
Yes.
What's going on in the NFL, but it's certainly the windstorm around it is a mess.
Yes.
And I think it all came from our Twitter finger president.
On that note.
She's gonna have to take a brambling. Our president was brambling on Twitter.
So he had the gall to, after he spent how many years was Obama in office that he was talking trash, nerve to condemn somebody else for using their free speech and stating that Kaepernick and others who have knelt in acknowledgement of what's going on, but actually like an honor to the flag, but still acknowledging of what's going on, they've knelt. And he said, no, we need to get those sons of bitches off the field.
And they should be fired.
That
the NFL players, the ownership fire them. But, I mean, I think from where it started, it's kind of evolved and it's come into like a different animal because when Kaepernick started, he was sitting
Right.
out of protest for the social injustice that he saw for Black America. So he decided to sit. In speaking with a teammate, he decided to change that to kneel out of respect for the military, but also continuing his protest.
Exactly.
And he did that the entire season. We all know the story. He has not been hired to date for that decision last year. And what I do say, I respect him and anyone else. He was willing to put his money where his mouth was. It's an ideal that was in his heart. He made the action and he stood by his action consistently.
Yes. Whereas many have kind of badgered him and stating, oh, well, you know, if you stop kneeling or if you just play the good old boy role, then you would get a job. Whereas he's like, no, I'm going to stand my ground. And on top of that, he's donated $1 million to Black Lives Matter, and not just that organization, but any organization that he's truly felt that he's identified with their cause or felt for their cause.
And this is internationally too.
Exactly.
So I respect that stance. I think it's something that most people can say, oh, he stuck to his guns on that. So after that though, after the son of bitches comment, which was I think across the board, it was such a bold statement. He had very meek comments for the Charlottesville protesters. Some of them were very good people, but for this is worthy of sons of bitches. And I'm sorry, I don't think our president, that shouldn't come out of his mouth.
No, that's completely inappropriate.
Because he is everyone's president once you get elected. You are not just your base's president.
Yes.
You are everyone's president. And even if they don't like you or accept you, it doesn't change the fact that you are still their president. And you are their elected official.
Exactly. Meaning that you represent that person.
You represent America. Not just America that you like, or America on one side or the other of the debate. But the debate certainly got hot this week. Some people saying that's unpatriotic, it's disrespectful to the flag, to military people who served and died in the military. So let's break it all down. I mean, we're attorneys. I see a lot of Facebook attorneys, but we are bar attorneys. So we might have a little bit different perspective.
So speaking of the legal component, let's talk about the stance on their rights or non-rights, their First Amendment rights on the field versus their free time and this whole ordeal of the employee contract and things like that.
Well, I think the First Amendment has just kind of run, that's the most popular term because in our Bill of Rights, we have a right. Is kind of the founders of the country found that the Constitution needed a revision to lay out what we think we deserve as citizens of America. Exactly. And the First Amendment right in giving us the right to free speech, it says that you can say what you want to say. But outside of your right to say what you want to say, me and my house, I can go around and
there are guidelines.
Put panties on my head and protest. You know what I'm saying? I could protest bras, panties. I can do whatever I want to in my own space or on my own time. But what happens when you're at work? We've seen in other episodes, we talked about how people have gotten fired because they were at the Charlottesville rally, for instance. And their employer said, "Hey, this is at will, and I'm not about that life. I don't like how you represent me, and so you're fired." Or even we see that Colin Kaepernick was not picked back up, and there's nothing illegal about them choosing not to hire him for whatever reason, even if he's deserving. So
one thing I want to clarify is that there is nothing in any NFL policy handbook, no employment agreements, nothing anywhere that specifically states how players are supposed to act or not act when it comes to the national anthem.
Well,
the culture encourages it, but it does not require or demand it.
So, and that's the thing with your employer. Because I did just read another attorney wrote a whole article in CNN saying, hey, no, it's not your right. If I was in court, I couldn't just take a knee and protest. You can't just go around protesting things when you're at work. I think his analysis was severely flawed, though, because technically the judge is not your boss.
True.
And he may not like you. He may say you're in contempt. But could you take a knee in court?
Yes.
Yeah, you could. You could. Ding, ding, ding. So when it comes to an employer, though, that's not an employer-employee relationship. And when it comes to your employer, if it wasn't your manual,
right,
and you signed off on a manual that says every day we're gonna play the anthem, and you stand up and put your hand on your heart,
then that's different. That's different. Because now there are certain policies and procedures that you contractually agreed to doing every game. But another thing that I honestly had not paid attention to was that they did not actually start coming out for the national anthem until 2009. And another thing that I did not know was that I think between 2012 and 2015, the military paid across the board of all major sports $6.8 billion for this patriotic national type of push.
Yeah.
And so I think that kind of is interesting to show that it wasn't naturally ingrained into the game, but kind of has this money factor behind the scenes of why.
And if it was missed by the same people who feel very patriotic about it, if they missed it before, if they just are realizing like this wasn't a standard policy, this is a new thing. And we've seen teams across the board. Some of them, the Cowboys, I've seen a lot of people like applauding, or all the Cowboys fans are like, look, my team's kneeling. And technically their team kneeled before the anthem and stood when the anthem started, but the whole team did it. Yeah. So there was some solidarity factors where they all did it consistently.
Good point in clarifying that. I think a lot of people just saw the picture.
Yeah, they saw the picture like, oh, my team winning. No.
I mean, they did,
I mean, I appreciate the solidarity.
Right.
But
it wasn't doing
what I encourage, because we saw people flip-flopping. Ray Lewis previously said Kaepernick did not have a job because of his stance that belonged off the field. He went on and on and on. And Shannon Sharp, who was a good friend of his, like really challenged him on this point. And even after that, so Ray Lewis has now said he was kneeling in prayer.
He was praying to God.
He was looking like he was praying for a knee replacement. He was looking like he was going awry. I thought, like, someone bring his wheelchair because he's not going to get up.
He looked like he was like, okay, I'm going to need y'all help getting up.
I was like, well, that NFL was bad.
Why you on both knees? Like, what are you doing?
It looks bad.
It's not how this goes, but okay.
So, I mean, I think we saw, like, people, and I think the concern is that the message was being lost, what Kaepernick was taking a knee for. And even his compromise to try to do it out of respect for the military. Because I've seen military members from really vary. Some people say, I understand. I may not agree with it, because that's what I think conversation should be about. And what America should be about, what the First Amendment is about is, even if I don't agree, you have a right to say it. And because this is kind of what the president supported in saying Charlottesville, they have a right to protest. I think he pretended, I think he said that they were protesting taking down some of the Confederate statues. But then he said he supported their right to protest it.
Right.
And these other people are exercising their right. And so it's led to a lot of suspicious behavior to really, what is your problem with them doing this? It's not a disrespect to the military, and you cannot define patriotism.
No, not at all.
It's not in the, the definition of it is not stand and put your hand on your heart.
I can't think of who it was. I have his face in my mind, but I cannot think of his name. But he was saying, so what about the patriotism of Martin Luther King, or the patriotism of Susan B. Anthony, and the things that they did as a patriot to acknowledge that there is something wrong going on against your country, and so you want to stand against those who are infringing on whoever's rights are your neighbor, your brother or sister within that country or within that community. So those are patriots as well. And so if Kaepernick or someone is taking a knee to the civil rights and the disruptive behavior that's going on in that realm, then how is that more patriot than you with regards to, I don't want to say white supremacy, because that's not what it is, right?
But I think that it's just important to remember that everybody's experience of America is not the same.
Exactly.
So I can love my country. I'm happy to say I've traveled the world. I think America has a lot of good points, but that does not mean everything. I don't just. It's like any adult relationship. If you are married folks, Do you love everything about your spouse? Just everything. Everything.
I guess not.
No, there are some things where you say, I mean, I love you,
but this really
and that's the only way you affect change. To be honest about it, this is my opinion. I feel strongly about it, and then to push for it.
I giggled a little while ago because you said how the reason why Kaepernick initially took a knee is getting lost because the politicians stated like that these new millennials and these athletes and these millionaires are ungrateful and they should be lucky that they live in America because they could be somewhere in like North Korea where they could be shot. Well, that's why we're here.
Yeah.
That's why we're here, because there were American citizens on American soil who were murdered and there was no justice for them. That's why we're here. Yeah. So for him to say that, I was just like, oh, I mean, and I think that's part of it. The point.
You're missing the point, and we've seen I've seen some really great, insightful commentaries.
Yes.
Some of it we've posted on our IG page, but
go check it out.
I read something that Dan Rather said, and it was specifically about that ungrateful part, because it was like the ungrateful is the new uppity. So he was like, I've lived a long time, I've reported on issues a long time, and before they would call a black person uppity. Look at you being uppity, because they were demanding equal treatment, even from people who didn't understand that there is this inequality.
Right.
But unless you're opening yourself up to it, how will you ever know? But here's what I said when we were talking about what is the right. Kaepernick was standing for something that he believed in. So it's funny because in reality, I feel strongly about this. Veterans are not treated as they should be in this country. If you know anything about the homeless population, there's a massive influx of veterans dealing with post-traumatic stress syndrome.
I was going to say the mental instability that they go through, and the healthcare.
The Women's Warrior Program talks a lot about it. If you go to the VA, I mean, some of these things are like atrocities for a country as large, and look at our military. So this is we always doing challenges. Here's my challenge to everyone who is displeased. You canceling your NFL ticket. You're not watching NFL. You're burning your
jerseys and
wasting your money. Instead of wasting your money on jerseys, go to eBay, sell your jersey, and if you feel that strongly about it, here's my challenge. Donate $5 to a program that benefits your veterans.
Yep.
Don't put your money, just like Kaepernick. He put his money where his mouth was. Put your money where your mouth is.
Yep.
Affect change. If you are that disgusted, affect change. Because if we have what I think it was like half of a certain population of white Americans are displeased with this display, if that's millions of people and everybody gets $5, think about what change you can affect to the veterans that you want to protect and you want to see protected. That's my challenge. Don't talk about it, be about it. Donate to your local charity that benefits veterans. Wounded Warriors I love that charity. There are a lot.
There are countless.
Or donate some time to the VA. But instead of spending your 5 minutes being mad on Facebook and ruining my feed, use your time.
Do some good with it.
Do some good. And even, it's funny because it all started with Trump's Twitter fingers. And we're talking about laws and is it your First Amendment right? There is another law. Guess what it is? That government officials cannot influence private individuals, private citizens for getting fired.
Yes. Yes.
President not supposed to tell everybody to get fired.
He is not. And he has completely overstepped
that boundary. That's illegal.
Completely overstepped it. And he, of course, there's not going to be any repercussions for it. I can almost guarantee you that.
But it's illegal.
But it is.
So if you really like laws and you're talking about laws when it comes to this, your side of the debate is, at the end of the day, you don't have to agree or disagree, but we do have to understand that it's our right as Americans to have this discussion and to have our opinions and it to be respected. It doesn't mean go back to some other country or move away.
And I know that there have been some players already who have lost endorsements. I know Von Miller has lost some of his endorsements already for taking a stance. And also, I was reading an article about the lawmakers in New Orleans that want to take away public funding for the New Orleans Saints because their stance and wanting to kneel when the national anthem is going is just terrible. We cannot accept that, and they should not get any state funding if they don't want to acknowledge and respect and honor this great country.
So I just think it's just been lost, but I certainly don't think that taking a protest for whatever reason, if you are kneeling because you thought healthcare sucks, I mean, you have a right to protest, and if it's not peacefully, and if it's not explicit in your agreement with your employer, you have a right to protest.
You do. And another thing that kind of lends its way to is if there is no or if there is no guidelines on what you can and cannot do with regards to kneeling or in response to the national anthem. If you do kneel and then you get fired, even though it's at will, is that like termination for discrimination because I'm black or I'm of color and I was kneeling because of my disdain for how police brutality has been handled?
Well, I definitely think that if I was a con law attorney or even a litigator, I'd be chomping at the bits for this.
Yeah.
It's going to roll around to somebody, and I think somebody's just going to volunteer their services because they're going to get their name on the map if they
for sure.
take this. It can go pretty far. But the NFL's in trouble for lots of reasons. And another reason, I think a lot of stuff in just the world, let me say this. There's a lot of important stuff going on in the world. And although we spent a good amount of our show talking about the NFL, there are more important things going on in the NFL. We got healthcare variables failing. We got Puerto Rico underwater and without power. We have the tax reform bill that has just been laid out.
Thankfully, the healthcare bill got repealed for now.
It didn't get repealed. It did not have enough votes. It didn't even go to vote. But the NFL got in trouble last week also because they're not in trouble, but they are facing a lawsuit.
Big lawsuit. Well, the Patriots are as well as an NFL organization as a whole. Yeah. Because it has been found that Hernandez, who
was convicted of murder
and was on appeal and committed suicide, had a very severe case of CTE. And so his family is suing for $20 million and saying that the NFL did not properly protect him from this this type of injury or this type of damage. Yeah. The thing that really sucks is that you can't really know if someone has this until they're dead and you do an autopsy. Yeah, look at that. That's really unfortunate. And he had a level 3, and I think the highest is a level 4. I think I read he had his brain had deteriorated to a 60-year-old man, and he was only 27 at the time of his death. So that's really disheartening.
It really is, and all the conversation about, I think a lot of it has turned to, these players, they're so entitled, they're millionaires, why do they have a right to? You're putting your everything on the line every week for a game. Yeah. You have a certain skill set that people value, people want to see. So it's not just you are just some random, you didn't just win the lotto. This is a lotto for people. This is something they started when they were Pee-wee leagues. Yeah. And have done it for, so maybe, I don't know what Hernandez's case was, but maybe he had already done it for 20 years. He's only 29, and maybe he had already been playing football for 20 years.
Yeah. And they say that this could start developing in high school students. And I was actually reading, my high school in Chicago, Whitney Young, has canceled the rest of the football season. And the reason why is because we had a low turnout for players wanting to play in the season, and they're saying that it's actually been a low turnout kind of across the country, and a lot of it is attributed to the fact that people are more concerned and aware of the health risks that come along with people playing football, especially at a young age. Yeah. So that's
because I hear anything before 12, they're saying now it's just like you can already start seeing the impact. Yeah. So the NFL's got a lot of stuff to figure out.
They do, and hopefully this kind of shakes them to either someone coming out with, better equipment, better protections, better ways to assess their health before it gets too late.
Well, they're saying they're standing with their players, which is what these protests or the solidarity has been about. So hopefully they stand with them through some of these health issues too.
Yeah. That's
what the hope
is. An uphill battle with advancements in technology and science and healthcare to kind of deter these things in the future.
Well, that's not the only thing that was a hot mess this week. No. I mean, it's from the NFL. They had a lot going on, but Congress president had a lot going on,
and then
former Congress members had a lot going on.
So let's just talk about it.
Anthony Weiner, and already, you suspect something happened. You didn't even know who he was. I just said Anthony Weiner, and now you're like, who? What'd he do? You already know what it had to do with, right?
He couldn't just keep it off the phone. And not just keep it off the phone, he was sending it to a 15-year-old child.
And he's been convicted. So if you don't know the background, you guessed what it's about because I told you his name was Weiner. But Anthony Weiner is a former congressman.
A 50-year-old man.
A 50-year-old man, former congressman, who initially got in trouble because he had a sexting problem. Sexting. Where he was using his phone to highlight and bling people and send them the wiener.
Yes.
The full wiener.
And so obviously no, they would not see the pictures, don't want to see the pictures, don't want to know the full content. But I think it's interesting that he did not get charged with child pornography. So I'm wondering if, and you're charged with child pornography if you're in possession of pictures of a minor. And the fact that he didn't get that added onto his sentence, I wonder if he was only sending them to her and she was not sending them back.
No, that's not what I read. Okay. So he got in trouble for that. He had resigned as a congressman. Fast forward, and he got caught, and he has been sentenced now for sexting a 15-year-old.
2 years, or a little under 2 years.
21 months.
Okay.
So it's funny because nowadays some of these dang old things, I mean, as a parent, it's hard. They always got some technology, and then they keep getting smarter with it, right? So some of these things now, like
that was Snapchat,
erase or dissolve, or Kick does it too. I mean, Kick did it before Snapchat. Okay. I don't know. Other parents tell me to like warn me to check my daughter's stuff, and I just be like, I gotta trust her because I don't have time to go
snoop through everything.
And they're deleting, and I'm like, whoa, come back, picture. So I don't know if some of the things, because I did read that he did ask her to
send pictures.
No, like they were doing it like through live video, I think.
Oh.
Where he was asking her to do like sexual conduct. But initially she contacted him through one of these social media outlets, and
he fell for the thirst trap.
And yeah, he was for about 3 months. They were going back and forth on various means, like they were on Instagram, they were on Facebook, they were on Kick and Snapchat, and so he did encourage her to do some things, but they just said sexual conduct. I don't know what that meant. But so that is kind of how he got caught and now convicted. And now, from what I hear, he's scared. When he got the verdict, he was crying, and now he thinks that he's worried about prison, as he should be. Prison sounds scary. I don't know. I never been one of that.
I know in his sentencing, his soon-to-be ex-wife and his son was not there. His parents were there, but
I would not bring my...
Heck, no.
Well, and the baby is still a baby. So, me and my baby are not coming to watch, because, I believe she's an attorney too, and she was thinking, you're going to jail. She was thinking, you did it. No, she was thinking, you did it, and I read the evidence, and not only did you do it, you did it like many times. Like, your wiener was seriously on all social medias. Like, you could just go, and you could probably look it up now. Because he was sending it out to just everybody. And then, but to really engage, even when he got caught, he said, it was wrong with me. That he, in full disclosure, knew her age, and that's just sickening. Because my daughter's 15, and if I think about a 50-year-old man, like, you would have a whole nother problem. It wouldn't even.
But you know what? I've come to realize that was. Before I make that statement. Then when he was crying, he was saying that this is a disease. I know I have this disease. I need help. I guess he tried. I don't know if there was an incident that he didn't really disclose about, but he was saying he tried to get help in the past. And I was just like...
I do believe that it is a disease, but it being a disease, or you having I think it's a mental disease, like something's wrong with you. But that does not mean you're free to subject the rest of society to your hoo-ha problems because you can't get your thing.
Right. Now, some people will say, and this me just playing devil's advocate,
All with me.
Since she, and I'm not saying that it's excusable by any means, but since she seduced him, should she not face any repercussions? Because a law that's meant to protect someone can never prosecute that person. But just, on the social tip, they're like, well, if she seduced him, but no, because that only works if you did not know her age.
And what does a 15-year-old know anyway? Like, honestly, sometimes
y'all talk about it, y'all just send pictures.
Yeah, but sometimes with kids, even saying, okay, well, 2 years ago, he got arrested for sexting. I can't say for sure that she knew. Like, what do you know? If you think about in her life, 2 years before that, she was 13.
Yeah, no.
She wasn't reading CNN every night.
No.
I don't know what prompted her to
reach out to him.
But at the end of the day, he's going to have a long time, 20 more months in a scary prison.
And then his life after he gets out is going to be in shambles. He's a registered sex offender.
And who even knows what his relationship, or if he will have access to his son after this, which is really one of the saddest parts of this. It's definitely sad that he has the sexting problem. The 15-year-old involved in this is sad, but to have like a fatherless son because his daddy could not stop sexting people. I don't even get it. It's not even real. I mean, it's very distant contact.
One crazy thing that I was reading, and just reading about sexting, and then that led me to child pornography and possession of child pornography, that sometimes school administrators get caught up in charges of child pornography. If, let's say, there's a sexting situation going on amongst classmates or something, and they're investigating an incident, but they're in possession of it because they're investigating it, they could be charged with possession of child pornography, and actually a couple of school administrators have had to kind of fight that battle. So just, I don't know if we have any teachers out here or anything, but if you have a situation and you're investigating it, please just don't keep the pictures. I don't really know how you investigate it.
Maybe you can put it on a separate device that's not your personal device.
But just,
Or maybe you can scramble it. I don't know, but you should figure it out. And for all the people out there, sometimes, 15-year-olds looking kind of grown now. It's better to be safe than sorry. Those are not things, even in children, texting, you're still in high school and your son's 18 and his girlfriend's 16. If they're sharing pictures,
it's illegal.
Him to have it or vice
her to have
versa.
it, yeah.
If she's the older one, if she's of age and they're not, it is illegal.
Actually, if they're of the same age, it's illegal because it's still considered child pornography.
Yeah.
So it's illegal to have child pornography at any age, even if you're the same age of the person that's sending you the picture. Which, I mean, with the way teens are these ages, I'm sure they're sending the pictures, but if there were to ever be an incident, then they would both have to face some legal repercussions.
Well, I don't know. I'm gonna need more. I'm about to bramble over that.
Because you have.
I got 15 years, so I got to bramble now, y'all. It's bramble time. So we gotta leave you because we got to go bramble now. My mind's all thrown off. But don't forget,
Sunday Fun Day.
This
Sunday, October 1st.
Eddie V's Happy Hour, and I'm
4:30
sorry
to 6:30.
for anybody who can't, but join in the fun. We'll be having some live posts and lots of IG posts. So if you can't come, make sure subscribe to us on YouTube, subscribe to us on IG, follow our podcast or subscribe to our podcast, and just get in on the conversation.
And as always, if there is a topic that you want us to discuss or a cocktail that you want us to make, just let us know on Instagram, Facebook, or email us.
Yes.
Until next time, cheers, guys.
Cheers.